And I know so many of you are searching for a solution, thinking of any way to help stop something like last week's tragedy from ever happening again.
And one thing so many of you have brought to us, the need for better mental health care in this country.
In fact, Navita Forghani spoke with someone who works in the mental health care industry, also though coping with having a mentally ill son herself.
Yeah, Katie, Lane Purdue tells me that it took her son until he was 15 before he was properly diagnosed. And after going from doctor to doctor, it finally took a run with the law to get the right treatment. For you to understand what he was going through, because you told me he didn't get diagnosed till he was 15. So what was that like?
It was very difficult. He was a very handsome boy, a very, very bright young man. From time to time, he would have outbursts without any apparent incident that would set it off, and we didn't know what that was. I could not physically control him. His brother, who is 7 years older than he is, would actually physically have to hold him down.
Was it hard for you to watch?
Oh yes, because you know there must be something I can do to help him. I mean, that was my feeling.
What are some of the key problems with our system?
I don't want to fault all of these people who are working in the mental illness system. That would be wrong. But in many cases, there aren't enough of those people, so they have way too many people on their caseloads. And then there are also restrictions on what they are actually able to do. They can't go and live with the person who has mental illness and make them take their medications.
Yeah, parents really need to get ahead of the game here. They need to utilize those school counselors and psychiatrists that are available to them within the school system. A lot of the mistakes that parents make are they take their child to a pediatrician that oftentimes leads to a wrong diagnosis and only temporary treatment.
You know, so many of these cases have involved children who were actually grown, and families, I'm sure, are faced with difficult choices. What can they do when their child becomes an adult? Is there any way to force them essentially into treatment?
Yeah, when they turn 18, it's extremely hard. The only way to force treatment, Steve, is by getting the courts involved, and that's a very lengthy legal process, and you need a lot of work with doctors to get that kind of authority to force your kids to get that kind of treatment. What parents need to do at a young age is kind of explain to their child the condition that they have, make them understand their mental illness, and once they understand it, hopefully they'll grow into accepting it, and they'll understand how they need the treatment and why they need the treatment. So it'll be easier for them to treat themselves when they're an adult. Steve?
Yeah, less of a stigma about the whole thing as well. Thank you, Navita.